Hi, welcome back to this channel. So today's activity is going to be on using tools and command in the create and constraint group. So for the create group, we'll be looking at how to use the line tool, the circle tool, the arc, and the rectangle tool. And then for the constraint group, we'll be looking at how to dimension our sketch both manually and automatically. We'll also use the other constraint tools like the perpendicular constraint, the horizontal, the vertical, the equal, and several others. Please note that this is part 2 of the complete beginner series. If you've not seen the part 1, I'll link it down in the description box below. Do well to look at that and come back here so we can continue. Consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't yet done that. Do well to like this video, it helps it reach a lot more people. If you have any comments, questions or concerns, you can put them down in the comment section below and I'll address them as soon as I can. Let's begin with today's activity. Okay, so once you open up the inventor pad file, by default the sketch tab is the active tab and that contains the create group or the tools for creating a sketch. Then we also have some modify tools, some pattern tools, constraint tools, insert and format tools we'll be looking at. So for now, let's look at the tools in the create group. To begin to create a sketch, you have to specify whether you want to begin your sketch in a 2D or a 3D. For now, let's begin with a 2D. So select the 2D option that is up here by clicking on it, and then you are asked to specify the plane you want to work on. So we want to work on the XY plane. We click on that and now we have these quadrants in our graphic window. So let's choose the line tool and begin to understand how it works. So you can select the line tool by clicking on this, or you can press escape for now and then type L on your keyboard. That also selects the line tool for you. You know it's selected when the line tool turns blue. There's also another way you can select the line tool. Let's press escape for now. You can also right click and then you can choose the create line option here. So these three are ways you can select your line tool. So once our line tool is selected, notice that at the left corner down here, Autodesk Inventor tells you or instructs you on what to do, it guides you. So it says select start of line, and that is what we need to do first. So let's begin to choose the point where we want to start our line from. So we can just click here right on the horizontal line passing through the origin. You can click and then you move in the direction you want to place your line. So let's say you want to create a horizontal line. You can then move up and you can straight away specify the length of this line or the height of this line using the dynamic input boxes that is highlighted in blue black. So let's say your line has a length of 100 mm. So you type that 100 and press enter. Let's zoom in a little. Okay, so this is what we have. And then notice we are still in the line tool. The line tool is still active. So you can specify the other direction you want the line to go. If you want it to move perpendicular to the line you initially drawn, you notice that it shows you the angle or the angle between the two lines, and then also you can select the length of the second line you are drawing. So let's make the second line 100 also. Press enter, and then with that same procedure you can come down. You know the line is straight when the line is not broken. And then also notice that small perpendicular icon there. It tells you that the line or the point you are at is perpendicular to the horizontal line passing through the origin. So you can click there also, and then finally you can close it by moving the mouse to click on the point where you started. There's also the option to close a sketch. You can just right click and select close, and then it closes the sketch for you. In order to get off the line command, you can press escape. You can also right click and then select OK to get off the line command if you are done drawing the line. Okay, so let's look at the second commonest tool we have here, which is the circle command. We can also drop down to see the options of circles we can draw. So we can draw the tangent circle and ellipse. But let's look at the first one, which is the commonest, the center point circle. So I'll select that. That allows us to draw a circle by specifying the center. So like I said, you can see in the left corner here, it says select center of circle. So let's assume we want to put the circle right in the middle of the sketch we drawn, the rectangle or the square we drawn in the beginning. So you can just hover your mouse here by eyeballing the middle of this square, and you see those dotted lines that is going to the vertical line on the right, and that vertical broken line that is going to the horizontal line passing through the origin. Once you see those two, it tells you you are in the middle of the square you made initially. So if you want to put the circle in such a way that it shares that same midpoint, then you do this. You look for those two broken lines, you click to begin drawing your circle, you click and then you drag the circle open, and you can straight away input the dimensions in the dynamic input box. So we want the diameter of this circle to also be 100, and then you press enter. It's as simple as that. You can also right click and then press OK to get off the circle command. If not, since it's still selected, you can draw another circle. Let's say the diameter of this circle is 50. So we specify that and press enter. You can right click and OK. Okay, so let's look at the next two, which is the arc tool. We can also drop this down to see the options we have. So we can draw a 3-point arc, a tangent arc, a center point arc. But let's look at the first one, which is a 3-point arc. So we click on that. And now you are supposed to, from the left corner, it says we should select the start of the arc. So let's say we want to begin to draw our arc from here. So you can click, and then it says we should select the end of the arc. Okay, we want the arc to end here, so we click on that also. And then it says we should select the point on the arc. Any point on the arc that specifies the radius of the arc. So we can click anywhere to specify that. Let's click anywhere, and then we can draw our arc. Let's do that again. So we'll select our start point, the end point, and then we specify the radius by moving it either to the left or to the right. So let's say we want this to go that way. That is fine, you can click, but then let's take it this way. And that is how to draw the arc. Now let's look at the rectangle too. Let's drop this down. We also see a number of options, but the first four are for drawing rectangles. We'll look at the first and the third one. So let's look at the first one. We'll select that. It says we should select the first corner where we want to begin to draw our rectangle from. So let's say we want to put it in this corner. Let's just click and then we drag. It says we should select the opposite corner. So we want this to be the opposite corner, opposite to the first corner we specified. So we'll click here, and that is it, as simple as that. Let's look at the second type of rectangle we can draw, which is the 2-point center. So we'll click on it. It says we should select the center. Here, let's put this rectangle right in the middle of the first one we drew. So we look for those two dotted lines, the horizontal and the vertical one. So this is it. Let me look for the vertical one. Okay, there we go. And now I can click to draw my rectangle. You click and then you drag open straight away. That is how you draw these two types of rectangles. Let me also mention that if you want to delete any sketch you've drawn, all you need to do is to click on that and then you press delete on your keyboard. But we don't want to delete the circle for now, so let me bring it back. Ctrl+Z to undo. Okay, so let's notice something, that our sketch is not stable, so I can click in any of the centers here. So let me click on this one. You see we are able to move this rectangle we have here. Ctrl+Z to bring it back. We can also move these circles that share a common center point That is not what we want. Control Z. We want to be able to define the sketch or constrain the sketch in such a way that we are able to control some movements and also able to control some dimensions. To do that, we have to apply constraints. So let's come up here and look at the constraint group. We have a number of them. We'll look at the dimension constraint. And as it says here, it allows us to control the size of a part. So we click on that dimensioning, and I will want to apply dimension to the sketch. If your sketch is not well dimensioned, it's in blue. If you define it correctly, then you have the sketch changed to black. That is when you are using this type of graphic interface. There are certain cases where you can customize your interface, and so in such a case, if your sketch is not fully defined, it's in a different color. But if you are using the default graphic interface, then if your sketch is not fully defined or fully constrained, it's in blue. So let's try to turn all our blue sketch lines to black by fully defining the sketch. Okay, so let's put the first dimension here. We place the arc anyhow, but now we want to specify the actual start point of our arc. So this was where I think we began to draw. So if you hover your mouse here, you see the green dot. It allows us to select the end point of that line. So we click there, and now we click here where we started to draw our rectangle. So let's click those 2 points and drag down. It gives us the option to change that dimension. So let's change this dimension to say 20 or even 15. We press enter. We'll do same for the other part. So we click here, and then we'll look for that green dot which is here. You drag to the left, you click, and you input your dimension, which is 15. We press enter. Okay, we are not done yet. Let's do same for the arc that is up here. So look for that point, you click, you drag, you specify it's 15, enter, and then you click here, you click there, you drag to the left, you click again, and then you put the dimension of 15, enter. Okay, I think we can even do better. So we'll look at this constraint for now, the coincident constraint. Let's click on that and see what it does. We want to place this point here right on the origin. So we click those 2 points, you click this, and then you click on the origin, and you see it shifts the sketch and places it right on the origin. And now we can see some lines that are defined because they have turned black, which is what we want. Now look at the right corner down here. It says 8 dimensions needed, so we have to specify 8 more dimensions. We won't even focus on that for now, but let's still put in some dimensions we know we can put. Also, now that the rectangle has shifted, we need to bring the point here we used to draw the circle back on the rectangle's center point. And so to do that, here we don't see the center points of the rectangle. We can do something to see it. So click on the line command, and then click on this option called the construction option, which means we want to draw a line, but then that line should be constructional line. It shouldn't be part of the sketch. So bring your mouse here and look for the midpoint of that line at the top. You know you are there when you see the green dot here. Okay, we can click, and then let's look for the opposite one on the other side. So let me zoom in again, and yes, there we go. That is it. So we can click, and now we have a line passing through the middle of the first rectangle we drew. We want to bring this point onto the middle point of the constructional line we just drew. We'll use that same constraint again, which is the coincidence constraint. So you click on that, and then you click on those 2 points, which is this and that one. and those two circles are also fully defined. So let's apply some dimensions to the sketch on the right side. So the dimension command again, let's specify the length of this line. So we click on that line, we drag to the top, and we can change the direction to 100. We press enter. Let's do same for this vertical line. So we click and then we drag 100. Okay, that is fine. So we just straight away click again and then okay. Now let's dimension this inner rectangle. We click and drag. Let's make it 50 by 50. So 50, enter. You click, you drag 50 and then enter. Notice how I'm neatly stacking the dimensions on either sides of the sketch. That is what you want to do. Okay, so we can do same as we did. Put a constructional line in the middle of this rectangle so that we can place this inner rectangle right on the midpoint of the constructional line. So the line command again, make it constructional by clicking this. It's in blue, so it means it's selected already. Look for the midpoint of the top line and then look for the midpoint of the opposite line. You click. You can right click. Okay. Choose the perpendicular constraint and then select this point and that point. That is awesome. And now notice here that the status of our sketch changes to fully constrained. Okay, so there's also the option up here by the dimension command. It says automatic dimensions and constraints. Let me first put this disclaimer that if you have very complicated sketches, you might not want to do this because it can get messy at some point. But for simple sketches, you can apply automatic dimensions and constraints. So let's see how that works. First of all, let's delete all dimensions we have. So click on the dimension and then press delete on your keyboard. You can select a number of them by holding down the control key. Select all dimensions you want to delete. This, that one, this, and that, and then you can press the delete key. Okay, our sketch is not defined at this point. Let me even delete these constructional lines. So delete, and then let me delete this one. Great, it says 16 dimensions needed. Now let's see how this option works. So we'll click on that. And here we have to select where we want to put the dimension or the sketch we want to put the dimension on. So you can click and drag over this sketch we've drawn. And we want to put dimensions and constraints as well. You can turn off this one, the constraints for now. And it's saying 16 dimensions required. Yes, that is what we want, so we'll apply. And you see that Autodesk Inventor is intelligent. It gives or puts the dimensions in there for us. We can press done, and that is fine. Our sketch is fully defined. We'll look at some more constraints command. And so we'll use the first one, which is the coincident constraint. Let's look at the second one, which is the collinear constraint. So let's make this sketch down here. Choose the line command. Make sure the constructional command is turned off, and let's begin to draw on the horizontal axis. So we click, just make this shape. Then we can close it up. Now choose the collinear constraint command. So we click on it, and this is what it does. So find any two lines. Let's apply the constraint between this line and that line. So what happens is it puts them on the same line. If we want to make this also fall on the same line with this, then we can select the two, and that is it. You can right click, okay. Now let's look at the other constraint, which is the concentric constraint. We can even read what it does for us. So it says it calls two arcs, circles or ellipse to have the same center point. So let's draw a circle. Click on the circle command. You can draw your circle right here and give it a dimension of say 25 and press enter. Right click, okay. So now let's choose the concentric command and make this circle share the same center with these. So just click on the circle and then the circle you want it to share the center with, and then straight away it falls there. That is what that also do. Now the parallel constraint. So let's draw a line here. Right click, OK, and choose that command, the parallel constraint command. So once you click on that line and another line, it makes the two parallel to each other, just like what happened. Now we'll look at this one, which is the perpendicular constraint. For that also, let's draw another line here. Right click, OK, choose that command, and then click on this line and any other line you want to apply the perpendicular constraint to, which could be this, and then there we go. It makes it perpendicular to that. We can also apply the first constraint we used, which is the coincident constraint between the end of this line and that, so that it makes them share that point. Okay, so let's draw a line again here. Right click, OK, and then we choose that command, horizontal constraint command. Here it makes that line horizontal. OK, you can right click. OK, we can draw another line again, and let's apply, right click, OK, let's apply the vertical constraint. We click on the line, it makes it vertical. Right click, OK. Now let's even do something fun. Let's apply the equal constraint command. So click on this and choose this line and that line. It gives it the same length. Okay, let's try to apply constraints in such a way that we form a rectangle with these lines we've drawn anyhow. So choose the perpendicular, the coincident constraint command again, and let's apply a coincident constraint between this and that point, and then even another one between this point and that point. We can right click, OK, and we can even do better, apply an equal constraint between this and that, and there we go, we have a rectangle. So you see, you can play around with all these constraints to create any sketch you want. Okay, let's skip this tool, we'll apply them later. Let's look at the tangent constraint. So for the tangent constraint, let's draw a circle somewhere here. We can right click, OK, and apply the tangent constraint. So between this circle and then that line. Okay, so that is it for the constraint. Okay, so for now, let's play with the constraint tools to define the two sketches we've drawn down there. Okay, so let's put dimension between this and that. Let's make that 25. Enter. Okay, let's apply an equal constraint between this line and that line, and also between this line and that as well. Right click, you can press OK. Now let's also put a dimension here, the distance between this line and that line. Okay, let's go with whatever dimension we get. So we just click and then OK. Again, let's apply a collinear constraint between this line. Let's bring it, push it out all the way to that line. Now we are left with a sketch down here. We'll constrain that also. We would apply a horizontal constraint between the midpoint of the top line and then probably the midpoint of this line. Then we'll apply a horizontal constraint between the top line here and then this point. Let's collinear this to that, and then probably this to this line. So collinear between this and that line. Okay, let's bring the circle back to fall on this line. So that would mean we would apply a vertical constraint between this point and then the center of this circle. Click OK. We can apply an equal constraint between this line and that line so they have the same length. Okay, so that is fully defined. Right click. Okay, we are just playing around with constraints so you would understand better. We can just put the equal constraint so that we give the radius of one of these circles also to this. So equal constraint. Let's give this radius this same as that, and that is it. You can right click OK. Our sketch is fully defined. That will be it for today's tutorial. We looked at using tools in the create and constraint group. Come back for part 2 of this tutorial where we look at tools in the modify and the pattern group. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also, like this video, it helps YouTube push it to a lot more people. And then if you have any comments or questions, please put them down in the comment section below and I'll address them as soon as I can. I'll see you soon. Bye.